Hi guys, Ed Haynes here from Coastal Fitness Performance Training. We're just going to deliver some very short and informative videos on how to assess yourself with regards to mobility and then how to address your mobility issues. Today we're going to talk about shoulders and improving the overhead position. Alright, so guys, what we're going to do to start off with, I'm going to use Ant as my crash test dummy. First thing we need to do is we need to assess. So we need to work out where he's tight and if he's tight at all. And once we've established that, we need to then get after the issues. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today is adapted from Kelly Starrett's Mobility Wad and his book, Becoming a Supple Leopard, which I'd highly recommend you guys invest in and buy. All right, enough with Ant doing nothing. I want to get him to line his back. So, a really simple and quick assessment that we use with our clients, and you can do very easily on yourself, is firstly just to lie on the floor. And what I'm going to get Ant to do is basically make sure he's locking his midline and lower back down. So we want to be tight through here and make sure his lower back is pressed into the floor. What I get Ant to do now is going to lift his two arms straight up ahead of him. Now, staying tight and contracted through his midline, and again to slowly allow his arms to come back to the floor. Now, what we're assessing here is overhead position. So if Ant had optimal mobility at the shoulder, what we should see is that his arms lie perfectly on the floor. Now Ant's doing some good acting here and deliberately making it so his arms aren't touching the floor. What we can see now is that there's some issues in that overhead position that's not allowing his arm to sit firmly back on the floor. So we can assess this in a few ways. Firstly, I'm going to get Ant to come back down to this position and let his arms lie flat down. First thing I want to look at is the shoulder position, how flat it sits on the floor. So I can see that there's about 2 inches of space between the back of Ant's shoulder and the floor. Now that tells me that there's some form of slight anterior tightness, and now often that comes through pec minor and the anterior delt. Because really what we want to be doing is making sure Ant's shoulder is sitting back into floor so the shoulders are set. So, quick assessment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set my hand on his shoulder and I'm going to push down and see how that feels. How does it feel? Pretty sore. Ah, come on. Just a bit of pain. There we go. All right, I can feel straight away it's tight through here. So I know that I need to address pec minor and do that pec. Second thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to have a look at his bicep long head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him to relax. I'm going to lift his hand and see if that affects his shoulder positioning at all. So we'll bring it back down and up. So I can see that by lifting his forearm, it doesn't make too much difference to his shoulder girdle. So I know that bicep long head and tightness through here isn't doing too much in terms of his shoulder mobility. I know that also, when we lift up above head, you can definitely see there's some tightness through his lat. All right, so his lat, because it's tight, is not allowing his arm to fall all the way above head. Cool. Another really easy way to assess overhead mobility, even easier, and sometimes a little bit more a simpler way to tell, is so I get Ant to stand against a wall. Exactly the same as what we were just doing. Oh shit, almost fell over there. Alright, so I'm going to get Ant to set his back against that wall, head back. Same thing, I'm going to get him to lock his midline down, feet going to be slightly away from the wall. And now I'm going to get Ant to lift his arms above his head, straight. Good, and what we can see there is some overhead issues because he can't get his arms all the way back. Alright, perfect. Okay, so now that we've established Ant's got some overhead issues, we're going to get after him now. Now the first thing we're going to use is this double ball. Okay, basically this is actually a special mobility tool that's quite cool. You can make this easy yourself by just getting 2 tennis balls, hockey balls even better, or lacrosse balls, and taping them together. I want to get Ant to sit upright. We're going to basically set these on 3 places on his shoulders. First position is going to be here in trap 3. Second position is going to be at trap 2. And the last position is going to be up in the meaty part in trap 1. So what I'm going to ask Ant to do, I'm going to set him at the bottom. Ant's going to slowly lie backwards. Good. The idea is we want the middle of the spine lying down the groove of the 2 balls. When you Ant to set his head back, really easy now, we're just going to simulate that overhead position. So we're going to keep his tummy tight, his lower back locked into the floor, slowly let the hands come over his head. Good, work to his end range, wherever that is for now. Work back and back over. Now he doesn't have to be strict just going forward and backwards, he can play around with the different positions. The idea is with foam rolling and myofascial releases, you're trying to find the areas that feel nasty or that hurt. because that's a general indicator of fascial tightness, fascial tension. So basically, always think 2-minute drills. We want to spend 2 minutes in each part, and we always want to be assessing and reassessing each exercise or each mobility drill that we do to see if it's actually benefiting us. Some exercises are going to work for others, when some might not. All right, once Ant's done 2 minutes in that lower trap, I want to get him to roll his body down this way. So you get to trap 2 now in the middle of his 2 scaps, and he's going to do exactly the same thing. 2 minutes. You can try lifting his head, you can try setting his head back. At the end of the day, it's up to Ant or the person mobilizing to feel this out and know which areas feel tight and which areas need addressing. Once he's done 2 minutes again, he's going to scoot his body this way, and again to trap 1. Okay, so Ant's now done 6 minutes of work. Then it's important that we always test and retest. So our test at the start was the back against the wall. So all I'm going to ask Ant to do now is he's going to go back to all, don't need to do Ant. Go back to all, reassess and see if there's any change. We want to see if it's better, same or worse. Okay, the second area we need to address now from our assessment is that we know he's tight through his pec. So Ant's just going to show us where we would identify was tight in his pec minor. All right, really easy way to do this is basically going to get a ball. It can be a lacrosse ball, mobility ball, spiky ball. And you're going to lie on your front and get that ball into the nasty areas. So we quite like to basically extend the arm. It's actually going to give us an added pec stretch. And he's just going to set the ball where he showed you. And again, 2 minutes, he's going to try and get that ball deep in there. And he's going to play around with his arm positions, play around with his torso positions, move that ball around till he can find trigger points in areas that feel tight and stuck. Again, 2 minutes. Once he's done that, I'm going to get him to reassess. Cool. Done. The last area we need to address is his lat. All right, so we saw Ant. He's going to show us where his lat is really quickly. Okay, so we can either use a foam roller, which I do have, 2 secs. We can use a foam roller, a PVC pipe, or a ball, or if you're lucky enough to have a masseuse, even better. All right, and Ant's going to basically lie on his side. He's going to set the ball in the lat. Anywhere to start. Good, he's just going to spend a bit of time here again. 2-minute drills. So he might start low on that lat. He might find that it's not doing much for him, so he might move around a little bit. Good, again, he's going to start moving. He can open his chest up towards the sky. He can close his chest towards the floor. Again, when he finds an area, he's just going to spend a bit more time just getting off that a little bit. How's that feeling, Ant?
Pretty sore, pretty tender.
Cool. Okay, so now we've done our myofascial release, which is kind of our massage work. We've addressed the pec, we've addressed the lat, and we've addressed the scaps and the traps and trap 1, trap 2, and trap 3. Okay, so now hopefully we've loosened up some of that fascial tension. The next thing we want to do is basically get into some banded stretch work. So, we'll set that band on a high anchor. So if you have a pull-up bar, great. If you can attach this in a door or any piece of apparatus, that also works. Obviously, the thicker your band, the more tension you get. The lighter your band, the less tension you're going to get. Okay, Ant, which mobility drill are you going to go for first?
Let's go for lat stretch.
Okay, cool. So basically, what we've done now, essentially, we've loosened up the lat, pec, and the traps with the mobility balls. Now we want to get into the band and do some P&F work, or some kind of contract relax work. What I mean by that is, so Ant's going to start and show us the lat stretch. So he's going to get tension on the band. He's going to take himself into this position where he's trying to simulate an overhead position, because we know that this is the area we're trying to address. So what I'm going to ask Ant to do is externally rotate their hands and palm up towards the sky. Good, and he's going to basically be dropping his chest down towards the floor, trying to get that arm behind the ear. Now, rather than just hanging out here, which I see a lot of people doing for 60 seconds and kind of relaxing in that position, we can do some contract relax work where Ant's going to get tight and basically contract against the band for 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Then he's going to relax for a second, and he's going to use this time now to get a new range of motion. So he's going to sink into it now. Good, now he's just relaxing. Okay, now in his new range he has, he's going to get tight and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's going to relax for a second, and then he's going to drop into it again. Now he's done 2 reps there. We can do anything up to kind of 10 or 15 reps, right, depending on how tight you are. Okay, so he's opened up the lat. Now we want to open up the pec. So what we're going to do is take Ant to this position. Now, the thing about the pec and the pec minor is that our muscles actually travel up this way in a diagonal pattern up the shoulder and pec. So rather than just kind of the normal hand against the door and rotate away, we actually kind of want to go up into this diagonal position and externally rotate the hand and show us internal rotation. Good. All right, so we don't want that. We want external rotation, so we're following the same route of where the muscles are heading. Now, same thing, rather than just standing here, we can do some contract, relax. So wherever Ant's end range is right now, he's gonna hold there. 3, 2, 1, relax for a second, then he's gonna use his torso to pull into some new range. Gonna hang out here for anywhere between 5 to 10 seconds. Now again, big breath, get tight and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, relax. And then use his body to twist and open up. And again, you can do anywhere between 10 to 15 reps of this, depending on how tight you are. So now we've addressed the lat, we've addressed the pec. The last one I'm going to address now is kind of that tricep and overhead position. So what Ant's going to do is he's going to put his elbow into the band. He's going to place his hand on the outside of the band. Now this is going to allow him to actually get some external rotation as well. So if I'm going to ask Ant to scoot over this way. That's it. Now Ant's going to walk forward. He's going to keep that elbow nice and close to that ear. Good. Now he can actually use that other hand to go over the top and pull the elbow in. Now if you look at his hand position relative to his elbow, his hand is actually almost outside the elbow now. And that's awesome because that gives us external rotation stretch as well, which is great for anyone who's doing any barbell work with front rack positions or overhead work. So if we can get some sneaky external rotation work in there as well, even better. And again, in this position, he's trying to get the arm behind the ear, or as close to. He's going to do some contract relax work, sorry. So it gets tight, holds, 3, 2, 1, and relax, and let it open up behind the ear a bit further. Good. So you can see it was almost like anywhere between a 0.5 to 1 centimeter change there, and that's good. If we can do that over 10 to 15 reps, and that's awesome. Okay, now the most important thing is after you've done all that, we just need to reassess. So get Ant back against that wall or back on the floor. Bear in mind, we're going to be rushing through these, but we're going to get him to do it again. So he's done most of the stretch on your right hand. Good, so we'll assess his right side. Let it fall back. And you can see immediately the difference between his right side and his left side. All right, and again, he was only doing 1 to 2 reps of each one. Now, if you've got a workout that involves overhead work or anything like that, then these are some great things to get after before your workout. If you're notoriously tight through your shoulders anyway, then this is stuff you need to be doing every single day. Till our next video. Thanks, Sam.